Net on, I'm not sure, talk 11088. That meets weekly on Friday, 7:30 Mountain Time. Talk to our inaugural net. Thanks for joining us. Purchase the net and discuss HotSpot technology for digital radio, to promote DMR and digital radio in general, to facilitate the buying and selling of gear, and to have a good time. Any and all stations are welcome to check in, and this is an open net. My name is Bud. My call sign is W0RMP. I'm located in Louisville, Colorado, and I will serve as tonight's NCS. Let me drop it for a second. Declined. We are live streaming this on my YouTube channel. Aaron and I are WAR. I just set that up so you can check that out. I definitely turn the volume down. It's pretty laggy, so if you listen to the radio and watch that, you'll definitely want to have the volume down on the YouTube side. So we're going to run this net a bit differently than most nets. We won't start by taking check-ins. There'll be 4 parts to the net. So in the first part, I'll start by posing a question or topic for discussion, and then anyone who has something to contribute in response to that is welcome to check in by keying up their radio for 2 seconds and then unkeying. No voice transmission is necessary, and we won't do voice check-ins that way. I'll log the stations from the received call signs on my dashboard or in the last heard list on Brandmeister, then call in those stations in order to respond to the question discussion, or the topic for discussion. So that's part 1. In part 2 of the net, I'll ask for anyone who has a question of their own. Again, those voice transmission is necessary. You'll just check in by keying up, and then I'll call back based on reading the call signs off the dashboard, and we'll go around and take those questions. I'll see if I can answer them or wait for those questions to someone on the telephone. I'm sure we can share our knowledge. In part 3 of the net, we'll see if anybody's got stuff to sell or if anybody has needs, and we'll do our little buy-sell around there. And then finally, in part 4, we'll just take general check-ins for the count, or anyone who hasn't had a chance to key in. We'll do that in the last part of the net. Let me drop this for just a sec. All right, here we go. So let's do this in part 1. The question or topic for discussion this evening is around network and internet connections for hotspots. So something we've been talking about a lot on this talk group amongst us is different ways that we connect our hotspots to the internet, whether it be through the home Wi-Fi or open Wi-Fi hotspots, cell phones, other hotspots like cellular service provider hotspots. So that is the discussion topic for the evening. I'm sure people have experienced a lot of problems with this and probably have some really creative solutions to these, especially with respect to having certain ports open on the routers of those devices, so that different network features can be enabled for the hotspot. So that's what we want to talk about tonight, just in general, network and internet connections for hotspots, the problems you've encountered, the things you've discovered, and creative solutions that you've come up with. All right, so for round 1, if you have something to contribute to this topic, either a comment or a suggestion on something you've done or a question about that related to your own setup, something you struggled with, we'll talk about that in the first round of this of the net here. Check in, because I just can't. Go to them and call back and discuss this topic. On here, if you want to chime in, go ahead and key up so I can note your call sign. W0RMT. KK6HNG. W0RMT net control for the Colorado HD weekly net. Good, we got a good round of folks that want to contribute to that. Let me just read back the calls for the folks that want to talk about network and internet connection for hotspots, and then we'll see if there's anybody else out there. So I had on that N7JJY, George up in Cheyenne, W8KWH, W1VAN, Ivan, KK6HNG, N0WAR. Anybody else want to chime in on this topic? If so, key up now and I'll note your call. All right. Picked up Dave, W0HDR out in Evans, Colorado. Thanks, Dave. All right, let's start out. So I'm going to read back through the list of folks that checked in and just go to each and see what you got to contribute to thinking about network and internet connection for your hotspots. So let's start with N7JJY, George, up in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Good evening, George. Thanks for joining us. And what are your thoughts? Over. Good evening, Bud, in the group. Going through the Brandmaster repeater up here in Cheyenne. Been involved with this in the last 2 or 3 months and enjoying the heck out of it. Ran into a couple of issues, but got them all ironed out thanks to the guys in Colorado. A big kudo to you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kind of helping out with another guy up here in Torrington. He's still having issues. We got everything set back and forth as far as radio and the Pi-Star. His echoes mine completely, but somehow he's still not making it in. We're not sure if there's an offset on the transmit receive part of it. On the bottom side of the daughter board, it says offset 1100. So we're not exactly sure what that means. So we've been kind of playing with frequencies a little bit. So at any rate, I'll throw it back to you, Bud. Thanks for the net. And okay, sounds good, George. Thanks for checking in. Real quick question. The board that your buddy's running on a Raspberry Pi on Pi-Star said the offset is 1100, so 1100 hertz. I guess that to be. What kind of board is it, over? It's the one where it has this single antenna coming up almost right in the middle of it, but I can't really say what it is. I've questioned him a couple of times. Give me the name of the board, but I've seen it on some YouTube videos. I'm kind of thinking maybe you got the same one there from what I'm seeing on your layout there, so that may be the same one. But yeah, that's what I told him. I said maybe that's in kilohertz. I'm not sure. I wouldn't think a 1 meg offset would be in the mix. I kind of doubt that. Then I got to thinking, okay, well, maybe it's kilocycles. I don't know. So we've been kind of playing with it back and forth a little bit. So I don't know. I'm lost. KK6HNG was a comment. KK6HNG, why don't you go ahead and respond to George directly? George, maybe you can tell me, this is KK6HNG in Torrance, California, maybe you can tell me if the board is green or white. Because if it's green with the antenna almost in the middle, I am assuming it's the Chinese copy of the HS hat, called by them Jumbo Spot, by the Chinese that is. If it's red, it could be the original HS hat from Germany. Anyway, bottom line, if you are using Pi-Star, you need to edit on the expert, edit the MMDVM host
file and put that offset, which looks a little big to me, but maybe that's what it is, depending on the resonator they are using. So you need to put that sync in the specific field. There is an RX field and a TX field, and you need to put what's on that label. That would be your starting point. After that, you go back and forth, do some transmissions, and monitor on the pulsar the BER, bit error rate. And you can play around a little bit with the numbers to minimize the bit error rate. You will get somewhere around 0.5. Don't expect it to get 0, but if you get anywhere below 0.6 or so, you are very good. That's pretty much my point. Back to net, KCC.
Yeah, thanks for the comment. Certainly, that's a good procedure for trying to dial in once you have a base receive offset. Is go back to your BER, go back and forth, and tweak it by sort of 25 hertz either way, and then finally, if you really want to fine tune it, see if you can do less than that to minimize the BER. But George, I think the first step probably would be to get him to take a picture of that board and send it, and maybe share it out with the group, and so we can see which one he's working with. If it is the jumbo spot, then yeah, a few of us have successfully dialed those things in. I know when I got my jumbo spot, the offset was, I think it was stated as minus 500, so 1100 is quite a bit further out than that. But yeah, you might shoot a picture to the email list and then kind of go from there. But hopefully we can get him, you can get him set up. So, all right, let's move on down the list for the check-ins for the topic here. The next on the list was W8KWH, and if QRZ is correct, that's Ken in Delaware, Ohio. Welcome to Net, Ken, and what have you got for us on network and internet connections for hotspots? Over.
Thank you, Bud, for having the net, the inaugural net. And I've been helping a lot of my friends out with their jumbo spots, and I've built up the duplex version also, and the last 2 days put the Nexium display on it. So it never ends. It's an exciting part of the hobby, and always something new to learn. The biggest problem I've had with several of my friends is they're iPhone users, specifically an iPhone 6 or a 7, and they have connectivity issues with connecting to the Pi0W Wi-Fi. They're sometimes slow to connect, sometimes they won't connect. I've had them go through all the steps as far as the SSID with no special characters, having at least 8 characters on both the SSID and password. And a lot of them are still having the issues. I just wondered if anybody else has had issues with iPhone products. Also had a person with an iPhone with a TPL link router. The 6 would not connect, but an iPhone 8 of his wife would connect. So any thoughts on issues with iPhone? Back to net, W8KWH.
All right, Ken, thanks for your question. Yeah, we got a couple of iPhone users on here that whether they're hotspots to iPhone, so I'm going to refer to a couple of them. I do have a jumbo. I have an Android phone. You might see in the YouTube stream if you're watching that. I don't have experience tethering to an iPhone. No problems at all with the Android, but I know Aaron in 0WAR is using an iPhone right now. He doesn't have a jumbo, but I don't know. Let me start there. Aaron, in 0WR, W0RMT, if you caught that, you got any hints or tips or suggestions on issues with connecting hotspots, in that case specifically a jumbo on a Pi0W, to an iPhone Wi-Fi hotspot? Over.
Oh, fine, but I think I got it here. I've never had the Pi0.
And I don't have the Zoom spot. But now I'm hearing myself. I'm doing a live stream too. I don't think I'll be much help on that. I am iOS user though, and I got the iPhone and the iPad. So I'm not very helpful on that one. Sorry. 0WUAR.
No worries, Aaron. Let me kick it out there. I'm sure somebody else on the net is probably an iPhone user and has a jumbo. So open call if you can contribute to that, to Ken's question about issues with connecting the Pi 0W to an iPhone Wi-Fi hotspot. Go ahead and give a shout. W0RMT.
If you had these ratio.
KK6HNG.
You're in there first, and Jimmy was after that. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, that's great. I do run an iPhone. I do have two Zoom spots with Pi Zero and a DV Mega on a Raspberry Pi. And a lot of times I'll run all three at the same time off my hotspot on the phone, and I haven't seen a problem yet. One thing I did do is configured my iPhone to match what my home network is with a SID and the password, and the same with my vehicle hotspot. And I don't know if that's a option to look at, but I haven't had an issue with any connections with my PD's or HDR.
All right, thanks, Dave. Let me ask Jim. Jim, you got an iPhone too, and I saw you chime in there. You got any tips on connecting there? N7 VDR W0RMT.
N7 VDR here. Yeah, I've got an iPhone 7 Plus, and I connect to both. I've got two different hotspots using Pi-Star, and both of them connect. And I also have a open spot by Shark RF with a TP-Link nano router that connects with no problem either. If it's a general first-time configuration, you really shouldn't have to add that special thing to the card afterwards, because from the latest firmware update of Pi-Star, if it doesn't connect to anything, and this is by default, it's turned on. If it don't connect to a Wi-Fi, it'll actually turn itself into a Wi-Fi, and then you just go into your computer or phone or whatever and connect directly to it, and then you can configure a Wi-Fi. I'm not sure if that's where you were having your problem, but my iPhone connects flawlessly back to net. N7 VDR.
KK6HNG.
Okay, Adrian, I got you there. Let me take it back to Ken real quick and see if that was the situation. W8KWH, W0RMT. So it sounds like, I don't know if that was much help because people have connected their iPhone successfully, but to Jim's comment, I guess seems relevant on initial setup using the new Pi-Star AP auto access thing, connecting directly to the Pi-Star as a network to set it up. Is that the whole process you guys went through, and then tried to add the iPhone network there when you were connected directly to the Pi 0 through Pi-Star? Over.
Check in. Turning. Yeah, I went through all that, and it's just specifically the iPhone 6 on this one particular person. Sometimes it'll take 10 or 15 minutes for it to connect, and it's just so intermittent. I had the same issue. I use Android and an AT&T hotspot Elevate card, and I had issues with it consistently connecting, quickly until I changed my SSID from 6 characters to 8 characters, and then it connected automatically. So, I've been through all that, and we've even hooked a Cat5 dongle to the Pi 0 through the USB and configure it directly from the config Wi-Fi section. So we'll just keep working on it. The person with the Shark Open Spot and the TPL link, he contacted Apple, and they admitted they had some issues with an iPhone 6. That's the gentleman that his wife's iPhone 8 would connect, but his 6 wouldn't. So he shipped his TPL link back to Amazon and picked up a GLI router, and it connected with his iPhone 6 without a problem. So I think it's an Apple issue only, because I've never had that same problem with a Android or a AT&T hotspot. Thanks for your input. Very interesting, Net. I'll be tuning in every week. Back to Net, WAKWH.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Sorry, I had to run off real quick. I don't know if anybody saw that or if I was called upon and not here, but we had a tragedy upstairs. It's all good now, though. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll keep our ears out for that one and see what we can hear. Adrian, let's see, KK6HNG, I think you had a comment on that as well, unless I missed that while I was out.
Yeah, thank you. This is Adrian KK6HNG. Well, the comment is not necessary for iPhone, it's for Jumbo Spot specific. The Jumbo Spot comes with a nice Faraday cage, aka metal box. So if it's a Raspberry Pi 0W with a small antenna inside, you may want to try with the box open, that is with the cover removed. Because, yeah, there is some significant difference in RF, in Wi-Fi connection, if the cover is open or closed. And the other thing is your iPhone, it's very, very close, like, I don't know, less than a foot or so from the hotspot itself on a similar Raspberry Pi 0W. It may be possible that you swamp, you overwhelm the receiver of the port. But most likely, if it's intermittent, it could be the metal box that's around it. Back to Net, KK6HNG.
Yeah, good point, Adrian, for sure. I don't know if you're watching the live stream, you can see I have a jumbo on my desktop right here, and that could be an issue. It's definitely probably a pretty good Faraday cage. And I've always wondered about that, why it's not a plastic case. But all right, let's cruise on down the list. Ivan, W1VAN, you keyed up and had something to contribute here. Good evening, Ivan, and what you got for us with respect to network and internet connection for hotspots?
Hi, good evening. This is W1VAN. Currently using the repeater up in Red Feather connected with a Verizon hotspot, which is hooked up to it constantly, full time. But my question is there a reason to use the same password and internet name there as your house if the Pi-Star will automatically go to the next internet connection? W1VAN.
All right, that's a really good question, and I'm going to kick that one over to Jimmy instead of VDR because I know he's had both setups for a while. He had everything set up with the same SSID and password, and then in his mobile and at home. Then I think he changed that, and we had some conversations in the past about the hotspot switching over. So, Jim, N7 VDR, why don't you address Ivan's question about that? Over.
Okay, N7 VDR here. Hey, Ivan. Yeah, I tried that for a while, and it's supposed to seamlessly switch, but it doesn't. And for some reason, it seems to be a boot up thing. When you first boot up Pi-Star, it'll search for the first one that's in your list. And if it's not there, then it'll move onto the second one. But if the first one is there and you go out of range from it, it just disconnects and doesn't search. Or at least that's what I think's going on. So I just changed my hotspot from my phone and just named it the same as my house internet with the same password. And I just make sure when I'm connecting to it, sitting in the driveway, that my phone's basically sitting on top of the hotspot, so it connects to it instead of my house Wi-Fi and drive away. N7 VDR.
All right, thanks, Jim. Yeah, I guess that would be the question, Ivan. Is like if you're gonna expect the hotspot to switch access points, like you move away from one point, you want it to get to the other. I guess it'd be worth experimenting with and seeing if it switches over fairly easily. I know mine has switched as I've done that. I'm not sure about the priority level in the list, but yeah, maybe the reason it's still going to be switching access points, I guess, with the same SSID and password. But I don't know if it does it with more facility if it's the same labeled access point name or not. So I don't know. Does anybody else have? I have done both too, and I just have separate things now for my phone tethering at home. But I don't switch that much. I don't do that much power up and then drive away sort of thing. So if anybody else has experience with that, why don't you chime in now, or else we'll move on down the list. All right, hearing no one, we'll come back to that, Ivan, or we'll keep an eye on it and see what we can see in the future. Maybe I'll experiment with that tomorrow. So, all right, next on the key up list there to talk about this was Adrian, KK6HNG out in Torrance, California. Good evening, Adrian. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us. And
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a very interesting net. Thank you for hosting it. Yeah, this is Adrian, KK6HNG. Well, let's see. I think I did 2 contributions, but I still have a wondering. Does anybody need to do anything special networking? I don't think so. Is it necessary to forward ports? I don't think so. That was not my experience, at least not in DMR for sure, with hotspots. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know if there is any strict networking related issue aside from what was already discussed. I am wondering, however, if in a double netted network the thing will work or not. So if anybody wants me to elaborate on what that means, I'm gonna say that. Back to net, KK6HNG.
all right, thanks, Adrian. The initial comments about ports and things were related to experience some of us had with D-Star. There are certain reflectors in the D-Star system that have to have certain ports open on the router, and if your router that you're using doesn't have universal plug and play enabled, then you have to forward those ports to the device so that they can be open. And I think we were experiencing that with some of the REF reflectors in D-Star, and to a lesser degree with some of the XRF. And so a few of us went down a rabbit hole of looking at router configurations. And this has been discussed quite a bit elsewhere, especially with respect to mobile hotspots, because it's pretty easy to enable UPnP on a home router. It's less easy to get some of those ports opened on your cell phone acting as a hotspot. There is a group of guys that are working on that with a call sign routing, a newer version of call sign routing situation at D-Star, and mess around with trying to get avoid the problem of having to have the right ports open to connect to certain reflectors in D-Star. So it may be mostly a D-Star problem. But as to your other point, does anybody else on the net want to jump in on that? W0RMT. All right, let's move on down the list, and I'm sure we'll get back to you, Adrian, later in the net, or you can chime in if you have something else to contribute. So next on the check-in list for talking about the topic was Aaron, N0WAR up in Loveland, Colorado. Go ahead, Aaron, take it away.
No, bud, thanks a lot. No comments. Watching the live streams. I got one up. Everything's looking good. People are requesting on the chat there that some people are waiting to even check in, so I won't hold up any more time. And yeah, I've had success with the Apple iPad and the phone connecting to this stuff, so maybe we can talk more with that guy later. I mean, 0WAR, you can send me a message or whatever. Hopefully get you hooked up. So bud, thanks a lot. Looks awesome. And having a blast on the ham radio here on the Colorado HT inaugural net here. So back to net W0RT and 0WAR.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, we'll take more check-ins in a bit. If you missed the first part of the net, we talked about how there'll be 4 parts to the net. We're not going to do a traditional list of check-ins until a little bit later. We wanted to talk about discussion topics first, and if folks wanted to chime in, talk about that, great. But we can sort of restart that now. We'll do general check-ins for the count and everything later on. So if you're hanging out for that, don't worry. We'll get your call sign down on the list of check-ins. But in this first part, we just posed a topic to talk about network and internet connections for hotspots. And I said if anybody had anything to contribute there, go ahead and key up. Don't say anything. Just key up, and I'll get your call sign off the dashboard, write it down, and I'll call on you in order. So we're most of the way through that. In the next part, we'll take questions from anybody that has that. So I got a couple more that chimed in for this, but if anybody else would like to contribute anything to this specific topic, like talking about the network and internet connections for your hotspots, any issues or questions you have about that, go ahead and key up now, and I'll get your call sign down, and then we can do general check-ins after that.
There's RJ.
All right, we got a couple more. I got Cam6 AVH, RJ, out in Burbank. Thanks, RJ, and K2COP. So let's go on down. We got about 4 people left in this list to talk about this topic. Next on the list was WD0HDR, Dave in Evans, Colorado. Dave, what do you have for us related to internet connection for hotspots?
Sure. For that, just made a check-in, trying to answer questions. What I did come across the other day, because we're all playing with the Raspberry Pis, seeing where some people are configuring Pis to be like a travel router. So I've been kind of looking into that a little bit. Don't have much to add to it right now, but when I do, I'll let everybody know what I come up with. So other than that, I'll turn it back to that. WD0RCR.
All right, thanks, Dave. That's cool. Yeah, whatever you discover on that, let us know. That sounds interesting. Appreciate the new topic to discuss. Maybe we can talk about that in the future now. All right, Jimmy, N7VDR. You checked in earlier. Something to contribute here with internet connections for hotspot. Go ahead, Jim. N7VDR, W0RMT. Jim, you there?
My radio finally keyed up the duplex hotspot. So anyway, I keyed up earlier to respond to the other gentleman's question about the linking. So I have nothing further to add. I would probably add something about the DSAR in the port forwarding stuff, but I think we'll do that at another time and keep this rolling here. And 7 VDR.
All right, thanks, Jim. Yeah, I wondered if you might have been on the duplex spot trying to queue it up. All right, on the list is RJ, Cam6 AVH out in California. RJ, do you have something to contribute to the topic of network and internet connections for hotspots? Over.
Cam6 AVH. Good evening, bud, and thanks for doing the net. Yeah, so when I travel using my iPhone 6 Plus, which I haven't had any problems with, it'll connect either my DB Mega Raspberry Pi 3 or the Nano Spot. Either one seems to work flawlessly. But there are some places where the cell phone coverage AT&T is a little bit lame, but there's enough signal there where I could probably get into it, and everything will connect. So when it's connected on my laptop, I see the Pi-Star configuration page. So what I was thinking about is when I get into a hotel, is logging on and finding out the hotel information, and first sending the hotspot, and then follow with the laptop. And then this way, when they're both on the same Wi-Fi, then I'll be able to see the Pi-Star and I'll be able to see the hotspot. But what some people have brought forward, and I see this a lot of times, there's a splash page where you have to do a sign-in, an agreement. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Was wondering if anybody has had any experience or run into the problem where that splash page, an agreement page, has become a problem if they've tried to put a hotspot on a hotel Wi-Fi system. Cam6 ABH.
Yeah, sure enough, RJ. That's a good question, and it's a topic that's come up before, as well as enterprise level authentication issues where you have to enter a username and a password because Pi-Star currently won't allow for that. And I know that's been a topic. Those have both been discussion topics from the Pi-Star forum. By the way, if you don't know, there's a new Pi-Star forum that sits apart from Facebook. So folks should check that out. I can send up the link if you want. But Andy Taylor is thinking about both those topics because those are both somewhat limiting factors, at least in the Pi-Star ecosystem, about connecting to wireless. So yeah, that is an issue. For example, when I travel, I always just tether to the phone because I can't connect to the hotel wireless that have those splash pages. There's an Ethernet connection. It's usually great if I have the larger hotspot, but I usually don't. So I just use the cell phone. Yep, but those are definitely issues that have been brought up in the Pi-Star forum, and I think Andy's working on that for the next version of Pi-Star. So good questions. All right, thanks, RJ. Let's next on the list for this topic, and the last one on the list for this topic is K2COP, and I think it's Greg in New York. Greg, what do you have for us with respect to network and internet connections for your hotspots? Over.
Good evening. You're correct. Name is Greg, K2COP, and I'm going back to the iPhone tethering problem. I tethered with an iPhone 6 Plus and 7 Plus on AT&T, and both have been problematic. 2 steps that I usually do. If I know I'm going to be tethering, I make sure I know that I reboot the phone. And the second thing is, if it still doesn't connect, if you turn off the personal hotspot, wait 4 or 5 seconds, and then turn it back on, it'll connect every time. But they're definitely problematic, at least with AT&T. on both models that I mentioned. And that's all I have to offer. K2COP.
All right, thanks, Greg. That's good tips. Let me kick it back to Ken, W8KWH. Ken, did you catch that from Greg? And is that something that you've tried yet or not with your friend Pi0W? Over.
W8KWH returning. I did the first part, did a hard reset of the phone, and even suggested doing a network reset, which just resets the network settings only. But I've never tried the second one to turn it off and then back on. So, like I say, on my setup with my jumbo spots and duplex, no issues with Android, no issues with my AT&T HotSpot. So I think it is an Apple. I'm glad to hear somebody else has had a little bit of issues with it. So glad I checked in. Back to net, W8KWH.
W0RNT with the Colorado HT Net. Okay, cool. Well, maybe maybe Greg gave you a little lead to go on there. That'd be great if maybe that. Of course, that'd be one of those semi-frustrating fixes, in my opinion, right? It works, but you have no idea why it works or what the real problem is. At least those kinds of things usually frustrate me. So, all right, thanks for everybody playing around along with sort of part one of the net when we talk about, a given topic and who wants to chime in and talk about it. We had some good stuff shared, definitely some food for thought, and hopefully you've met a few folks you can reach out to if you got further questions. So let's do part two now. So in this part of the net, it's anybody that has a question of their own that they'd like to throw out there and see if anybody can address it. So we'll do the same thing that we did in part one. If you have a question that you'd like to ask of the net or of people on the net, let me know by keying up now, but not making a voice transmission. Just key up. I'll grab your sign off the dashboard. I'll write it down. Then after everybody that wants to ask a question is keyed in, I'll go through that list and you can ask your question. So if you got a question for the net, go ahead and key in now and I'll write you down. W0RNT. All right, we got two people checked in with questions for the net. So first was N0, aka Tom in Nebraska. Welcome, Tom. Good to hear you. What's your question this evening? Over.
Hey, bud. Thanks for doing that audio. Can pipe out to something else and build some kind of gateway to private networks that run different software. So that's my question. Is there a way to transmit and receive to the Brandmeister network via software?
All right, let me jot down to see if I understand your question. So you're looking to see if there's a software solution for connecting to the Brandmeister network talk groups without something besides like hotspot technology. And the answer, I think, if that's the question, is yes. For example, I know Ty, KG5RKI, is working on something, but maybe you could just clarify if I'm not if I'm not hearing you correctly.
Yeah, that's right. So I want to interface with the Brandmeister network to send and receive audio to a talk group with some other type of software. So, for instance, People Bridge, Echolink, and All-Star. And I'm curious how that's done, or if it's just using some kind of software in your computer to type audio. So yeah, if there's I'm not sure how to ask it, I guess, but yeah, you have the right idea.
Okay, Tom. Yeah, I think I know where you're going. Yeah. So the one thing I know of is Ty KG5RKI has been working on some stuff like that. Even he had a phone app. I don't know the status of this, but if you chimed in on the DMR TrackNet, he was demonstrating it one night. Let me kick this over to some of the guys that talk to Ty more often and might be more familiar with this than I am, or at least refer you to Ty. You should ask him that question probably, but I don't think Steppenwolf is on here right now. KN4AEG, but maybe Aaron is familiar. N0WAR. Aaron, did you hear Tom's question? And are we on the right track? Sort of leading him to talk to Ty about this. Over.
Crap. Oh, I'm in here. Crap. No input on that one. Slightly distracted. Still hanging in here though. So, geez, sorry. I'm I mean, no help here. So great to be in here though. 0WAR.
Tom, I would suggest that you look out for Ty, KG5RKI, and jump into the DMR TrackNet and see what's going on there. Also on the Facebook group. Let me just kick it out there. Does anybody else on the net have a response to Tom's question? Over.
KJ6HNG.
Yeah, go ahead, Adrian. You're next on the list too for questions, but take it away.
N1HAW.
And using it as we speak.
Whoops.
I was honestly not interested to actually replicate that thing at this point. What kind of configuration is it for PyStar aside from the MMDVM host INI file? Back to net, KJ6HNG.
Okay, Adrian. Yeah, we can certainly talk to you about setting up the duplex hotspots, or at least 5 of us on this net at least have those hotspots set up on Pies. We can share our configuration files with you, but the configuration is really pretty straightforward. Setting up duplex, choosing the right modem, in the actual expert mode and MMDVM host. There are various tweaks to do to try to solve some of the issues we've experienced with it, but besides your normal receive and transmit offset, everything else is pretty straightforward. I have seen some people post about changing TX invert to 1, but it's been inconclusive whether or not that does anything to the hotspot. So the settings are pretty straightforward. Do you have a specific question about a specific setting that you have in mind, or more just general?
No, at this point it's just general because I am a few days from getting one of those duplex boards. And also, generally speaking, I heard some people complaining that the two antennas, well, the receiver and transmitter, may desense each other. Basically, the transmitter desensing the receiver since it's a full duplex. And I'm thinking that probably if the antennas are perfectly collinear, even if they are horizontal, that should probably do the trick, but I don't know, it's theoretical at this point. Anybody has any experience with that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, we've experimented with that a lot. So I can speak for our group. I think that we've had a lot of problems with getting the duplex hotspot to key up reliably. Sometimes the transmitter gets stuck and transmit. Various problems. It seems to happen more with certain radios and others. Certainly happens more with the Anytone 868, which most of us are also using, in addition to other radios. So we've experimented with setting the antennas further apart, hooking on external antennas that are some distance apart, changing the RF power output, changing the frequency split, all kinds of things. And we really haven't noticed a pattern. So in conversations with the developer of the particular board we have, the i7JTA, at one point he suggested that maybe the board needs a firmware update, and so we're kind of waiting to see what happens there. But we do think that there are some issues with maybe this particular radio, but just in general, because it happens with other radios as well. The transmitter basically desensitizing the receiver, and then the radio not picking up, or the hotspot not picking up the radio all the time. So a lot of times you'll have to key up 3, 4, 5 times. I would suggest that when you get that board and you set it up, you jump on here one evening, and we can certainly talk you through our settings that we've kind of come up with and see what problems you experience and kind of walk you through troubleshooting those. Maybe we'll have some fresh ideas, but I think we've probably been playing with them for about 2 months and haven't solved all the problems that we've experienced. Over.
Okay, thank you very much. Probably I'll take your offer. Now, for the record, GTA, the Chinese ham, it's actually the guy who copied the board, so I'm not sure if he knows all the hardware issues and stuff. But this board originates from DD9 MAT, HS hat. It's the duplex project that it's called HS hat dual, and it's DD9 MAT with Florian, I forgot the other name, and there's another guy. So basically, in those forums, it's the best place to ask questions like that. Because, and by the way, the Chinese board is at least 3 billion board. And of course, they are not very happy to provide support for the Chinese board for obvious reasons, because the Chinese copied it without giving credit where credit is.
Yeah, sure. I'm actually on the wait list with Florian and for the next board, and so I'm anxiously waiting for them to be ready, and I should take shipment of one of those when they're ready to send them out, hopefully in a couple weeks. So hopefully we'll get them to work with one of their boards very soon. They're very responsive. If anybody's curious about that, check out their GitHub page. You can see their board and information there. And email Florian directly on their wait list. But thanks for your comment, David. Okay, next on the list, I heard I think it's Alec in 1HAW chimed in there a little bit ago. We haven't gotten to you yet. Alec, go ahead. A lot of different ways to get into Brandmeister, depending on the need. Right, Alex, we got the gist of that, and at the end you dropped off with the screeching goat sound. But yeah, we got that, and thanks, and maybe Tom, you could connect with Alex, and he could give you the link to that GitHub page he's talking about. One of the other things, of course, getting into Brandmeister, connecting to talk groups that some of us have been playing with lately, are some of these XLX multi-protocol reflectors in the D-Star world that are cross-protocol things. There's a pretty big one set up in Australia, one in Southern California. Some Brandmeister talk groups connect to some XRS reflectors. I know that's not exactly what you asked, Tom, but the idea of these sort of multi-protocol things is based on anything they've heard. If so, key up now and we'll get you before we do the next round.
And 0 KKO.
And 0 KKO. Good evening, Paul. What's your question this evening? Over.
I can't get this damn thing to focus.
Well, good evening, Bud, and appreciate you having our hosting the first net. Glad we could do a check-in here. Question I proposed to you here probably a month, maybe 5 weeks ago, running the dual spot. And, you know, when we're sitting at the desk or in close proximity of the hotspot, even though we can turn I'm running an Anytone that we can turn it down to low power, but the amount of RF coming out of the radio to the hotspot, you know, we're only 2, maybe 3 feet away, or even in your car or wherever you are, mobile. The amount of RF, is it going to overload the front of this, of the hotspot, or has anybody had a problem with that over time? Is it going to affect the hotspot, or has anybody complained about it?
That's a good question. It's another open question. Some of us have the same thought, and I don't think anybody's ever looked into it. So let me kick that out to the group. Anybody out there given this any more thought, or done any testing, or can address Paul's question? Over.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, I've done that kind of testing on the simplex version, not duplex, but probably it will happen on the duplex as well. So here is the thing: if the radio is very close to the hotspot, it will definitely overwhelm the receiver. So the solution to that is to basically run the hotspot on a dummy load, on an SMA dummy load. A small one, because the power is not important. It looks like a small terminator. And yeah, in the proximity, like 2 feet away or so, like within a car, it works wonderfully, wonderful. So right now, for example, I'm running the original antenna on the jumbo spot, but my radio, it's running a 20 dB attenuator on the antenna. So I'm distancing the receiver and the transmit by 20 dB. And it seems to still work flawless, like, let's say, 15, 20 feet away, something like that. So, yeah, the solution is put a dummy load, and it will work wonderful in close proximity. .NET, KK6 agency.
W0M2, the Colorado HD net. Yeah, that would make sense. And if you're in such close proximity, I'm sure it still gets in just fine. But it's Paul, it's a good question, and I don't think we haven't done any real testing on that. It seems to be reasonable. It's probably good advice, and if it gets in, then it's still working just fine, and you've mitigated the problem likely. So, all right, we've been at it for an hour, so let's go ahead and move into the next part of the net here. One of the things we wanted to do when we started this net was give people a chance to advertise their stuff for sale, or at least tell people they've got something they'd like to sell, and then you can connect with each other off the net. So, or if you have a particular need, if you're looking for something, certainly some of the things people are trying to find or find, or I would say not always easy to find, but not easy to come by or get shipped to you quickly. So, and this part of the net, if you've got something that you like to sell or get rid of, or looking for something in particular, why don't you go ahead and key up now. I'll grab your call sign off the dashboard, then we'll go back through and just real quick you can run through and say what you got or what you're looking for. So if you're looking to sell something or if you're looking to buy something, go ahead and key up now. Alright, we got one taker on that portion. That portion, part 3 of the net. Looks like Ivan, W1VAN, has got something to contribute. Go ahead, Ivan. We have two of the dual spot hotspots. I'm good on QRZ. I will not be home until Sunday evening, so don't expect a reply until then. But if you're interested, drop me a line on my email, and I'll get back to you with the details, pictures, and such. They are the completed kits with the display and the case and everything is all put together. This is W1BA. So if you're interested in a completed duplex hotspot, go ahead and email Ivan. His email address is good on QRZ. Again, his call sign is W1VAN. Anybody else got anything that they would like to advertise for sale or state that you're looking for, so we might help you find? Adrian, we also got Jim. Jim keyed in right before you. So Jim, go ahead. Have you got something to sell, or are you looking for something? N7 VDR, W0MT.
But yeah, I'm just gonna throw this out here. It's probably a long shot, but I don't want to wait 30 days for the slow boat to China or from China. But if somebody's got a thumb spot, kind of what's sitting on Bud's desk, or a jumbo spot, I could possibly be interested in something like that. I'm good on QRZ as well. Send me an email and we'll talk. And 7 VDR.
So if anybody's got a Zone board or a jumbo spot and they're looking to get rid of it, email Jimmy N7 VDR. His email address is good on QRZ. All right, KK6HNG Adrian, what have you got to either sell or what are you looking to buy? Over.
reply. I am aware of a site. No, it's called hamradio1.com or .net. I'm not sure exactly right now. So that guy is selling turnkey solution hotspots. Allegedly provide support for it. So that's one way to go. And another thing, okay, anybody thought of how to put a small power bank next to a hotspot? Well, one idea that I found, and I have one, it works okay, is buy from eBay a small cylinder for 18650 batteries, and you can get that stuff for less than $2 a piece, which has the cylinder, the plastic holder inside, the electronics to provide a USB. And then you buy an 18650. And then you buy a lithium-ion battery, 18650, and you got a very nice power bank. I can run a jumbo scoot with that like 8 hours. And another interesting thing, if you look at KD4Z, Kilo Delta 4 Zulu, KD4Z, GitHub, it has a modification of the MMDVM software that will provide also the display of the name for the jumbo spot, the name on the small OLED display, and will also provide the IP address where the jumbo spot is. So that can come convenient if you expect your jumbo spot will connect to a network and you don't know which one. You will see the IP address there. So that GitHub is called KD4Z, and yes, I uploaded that modification on my jumbo spot and it works pretty nice. Back to you, Bob. KK6HNG.
The comment, Adrian. Yeah, I've seen that project that KD4Z has for the display on that jumbo, and I was planning on doing that as well. So, okay, anybody that's got anything they'd like to sell or buy, and then we'll just take check-ins for the count after that. So if you got anything to sell or buy, key up now, and I'll give you a call. Q8H, looks like James in Ashland, Ohio. Go ahead. KQ8HW0IMT. Got you checked in. Did you have something to advertise for sale, or are you looking for something to buy? Over. All right, nothing heard. All right, let's move to the last part of the net. So anybody that hasn't spoken up or checked in, if you'd like to check in just this is the time when we'll do that. I already checked in Rex, KV0AJG off YouTube, but anybody else, if you'd like to just go ahead and check into the count, just go ahead and key up. No voice transmission is necessary. I'll pick your call sign off the dashboard, and then I'll read them back to confirm. So if you want to check in, go ahead and key up now. November 2, Hotel Tango.
breaker.
A whole list of calls. Let me read them back to check you in. So, net control acknowledges KD0AJG, G8LIY. Dave, I'm surprised you stayed up this late. It's great to hear you in there. WD0ESY, N2HT, KM6IKH, KI7UEF, KT0L. Good to see you there, Rick. And KB5RAB. If I didn't repeat your call, or if you haven't checked in yet and you'd like to check in for the count, go ahead and key up now and I'll get you on the list. Okay, that time we got 7FF gone. Good to hear you back here. One last call for check-ins for the Colorado HD Net. Please key up now. Do a last quick call for comments. If anybody's got a trailing comment or question, let's take that now before we proceed with closing the net. So if you got a last comment based on what you've heard or an outstanding question, let me know now.
Okay, and 6IKH, Bobby, San Diego.
Okay, go ahead with your comment or question. You're welcome.
Yeah, well, I think it's a really nice net. Appreciate you guys doing it, and thanks for the feedback on the dual hotspot. Myself and Adrian were both looking at getting into those, and it's pretty cool to see myself on YouTube right now in the live feed you have, which is cool. Yeah, so thank you for doing the net. You do a really great job, by the way, and let you know, much appreciated. So, Bobby, KM6IKH, San Diego Station, back to net control.
Good to hear you in there, and hope you drop back by sometime. So one other station, key up there for the check-in, K5IMO. You are checked in. All right, let's call for any questions or comments.
KK6HMG here. KK6HMG. So WIKH, as far as I'm aware, is the owner of that Ham Radio 1 website. So since you were asking for people who want to balance some stuff, I believe he is the one who can put up ad for his website because he has stuff to sell there. So let's do it, KK6HMG.
Northwest England.
Yeah, I think we have a bit of a double there between Adrian and Dave. So thanks for the information, Adrian. Dave, go ahead and if you could repeat real quick your comment so we can get it. We just caught the very tail end of what you said. G8LIY W0RT. Go ahead.
Thanks for running the net. It's been a pleasure joining. Hi to everybody there. It's 03:45 in the morning here in the UK, but I wanted to join the first one, given the guys, Ara, Jimmy, and everybody who's helped me over the past few weeks, getting set up on DMR. Much appreciated, and not sure I'll be able to make every week. Hi. Anyway, thanks to everybody. Goodbye, good night, and maybe speak to you in the future.
All right, Dave, thanks for joining us. I think you get the award for the most distant check-in from that control station. You certainly get the award for staying up the latest, so we appreciate you doing that. You can join us tonight, and I'm sure we'll talk to you back here on Colorado HD pretty soon. So thanks again. All right, let's wrap this thing up. It's been an hour and 17 minutes on my clock now. It's been a good inaugural net. I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We've had some good discussion, a lot of good tips, food for thought, hopefully some people to connect to and talk with over the coming week about topics and questions as they come up. So let me drop this real quick before I read the closing. Okay, so let's go ahead and close the weekly Colorado HD net. Please feel free to join us anytime, as well as our other NOCO DMR talk groups, NOCO for Northern Colorado. Grandmeister Talk Groups 3171, that's NOCO, 31083, that's the Colorado Severe Weather Talk Group, 31084, NOCO Mountain Talk Group, and of course 31088, which you're on now, which is Colorado HotSpot Discussion. Also, please don't forget about your local repeater infrastructure. If you live near us here in Colorado, visit www.w0dmr.org to learn about the NOCO system and contribute your time and money to helping us maintain and expand our awesome system. Looks like we had 26 check-ins this evening. That's a great first net. I want to thank everybody for participating. Please join us again next week, and we look forward to talking to you between now and then. This is Bud, W0RMT, closing the net at, looks like, 20:49 Mountain Time. So have a good evening, and we'll talk to you later.
W0RMT, KK6H.
The hydraulic sandwich you got there on your desk is making me thirsty. And 7 video. And I'm sorry. I got drug out of the house at the last minute, and I'm like, no, I can't go. I got to be here at 7:30. And so the only way I'm leaving is just promise me I'll be back at 7:30 anyway. I missed the first 12 minutes.
I had to run out in the middle of the net because there was a giant crash upstairs. One of my girls tripped over the dog while she was carrying her laptop, so things went everywhere.
The laptop's not damaged.
Yeah, laptop's fine. It's a Chromebook, and those things are rock solid. I think the dog survived. And after a few, my daughter's fine too. I'm going to go up and check on her in a sec here. Yeah, that went pretty well. We had a pretty good crowd, a lot of discussion. I know people were anxious just to check in. So we might rethink that whole check-in thing. I think it freaks people out when they can't just check in right away, since that's the way a normal net runs.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. And this is just my opinion. I find it rather boring hearing people just key up and give their call sign and then moving on to the next.
I totally agree. I like the way we did it. There was a lot less of that just around getting people's calls and names down, and I really enjoyed just doing the key-ups instead of having people voice announce too.
Gage, I just had a quick comment so I could jump in, bud.
Bobby, go ahead. Thanks for joining us, and go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, it's cool. I jumped in the inaugural net. I saw I saw it on YouTube. I was looking for MMDVM something, and I saw it live. I said, I don't normally watch that stuff, and I looked at it, and
Live, baby. That's funny. I wonder if he's watching Shutter Mafia.
I think you lost Bobby there, but anyway, great net, and I think the way you did it was just fine. So I know one of the other nets, the Texas net, what they do is they just have online check-ins. So there's several ways to do it, but the way you did it was great. Great net, and I'll talk to you during the week next week. AS7FS.
I'm done. Yeah, hey, Bud, can you just give me a quick information on your net so I can put it into my website, please? Excellent. So I'm just curious. Does anybody know what the HD stands for?
Hotspot discussion. Hotspot discussion. N7 BDR.
Focusing strategy.
Oh, thank you very much. So it's not high definition because it's not video, hi. Okay, thank you. KK6HNG, standing by.
Yeah, it's I don't know if you've listened to HD FM broadcast from some of the newer car stereos have what they call HD. So this is technically high definition amateur radio.
I would call it clean radio because it's digital. So yes, sort of. Yeah, noiseless radio. When it is, it's there, 100%, and when it goes away, it goes away. That's it. But yeah, I was wondering. I saw it popped up, and I put a talk. It popped up like Colorado HD, and wondering, what is HD? Shouldn't be high definition, right? Because it's not TV, but doesn't matter. So anyway, thank you very much, and kudos to the net control. He did an excellent job, I would say. I mean, it was a nice, interesting net all the way.
W0RT. I think we out there for a minute, Jim, or I didn't hear the rest of Bobby's call. It came 6IKH. I don't know if he stayed in there and I dropped out or what happened, but things got quiet here for a second. I think you missed my transmission too, bud. This is Don. Great net. Check-ins last. That's no problem. Some nets do online check-ins, but I think the way you did it was great. So, well, I'll talk to you sometime during the week next week. AF7FS.
F7FSF. Or anyway, this is N7 BDR. Do you know Terry?
Sure do know Terry. He owns a couple of repeaters here, and he is part of one of our, actually a couple of the nets that I'm on for ecom and some other things. So yeah, actually he's not far from here where I'm at.
Tell him I said hi. We go back a long ways. We were all licensed together at the same time. I got my, hence my 7 call. And, yep, Las Vegas Amateur Radio Club. That's where VDs were from. Anyway, yeah, tell Terry I said hi. N7 VDR.
Okay, N7 VDR. He does a high Terra net on Thursday, but I haven't been on there in a while because there's just so many other nets going on. So yeah, next time I talk to him, I'll tell him that I was here and you say hi. Have a good weekend, AF7FS.
Hey, M6IKH. Anyone out there still on the line? Can you please tell me when this net actually starts? Because I'm putting it in right now at radio1.com. Net section, DMR radio. So anyone out there can give me some feedback on what time this starts? I think you're in Mountain Central Time, I believe. Colorado, M6IKH listening.
7:30 Mountain Standard Time. So if you're in California, that'd be 6:30.
Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate that very much. Yeah, I have a net group talks website, and it's just the DMR because it's so popular. Just focused on DMR. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. 73.
There's a bunch of people here that hang out here locally in the northern Colorado area. This is our thought group. So you're welcome to hang, obviously. And there's almost always somebody here. And 7 VDR.
Sure do appreciate it. That was a really nice net. Love did a phenomenal job, and I sure do appreciate that. Great check-ins as well. Fantastic. So thank you very much. And 73. Have a great evening.
For just FYI and also reasons here. This is sort of my new talk group. I'm here most every night, sometimes during the day. So 31066 is nice, but it's not as active as this one. And besides that, Eric keeps me laughing. KFC.
KH, KH6HNG. Thank you for telling me this booklet, this wonderful booklet, and this wonderful net. I am sure to visit it again once in a while. KK6HNG.
All sorts of fun over here. So yeah, oh man, it's 0 WAR. Thanks for the awesome net, but I recorded it live. In fact, we're still streaming live. Or Shack. I'll go shut it off here and then 0 WAR.
Thanks, KH. Adrian, you still out there? Yeah, I'm here. If you want, we can move in another topic if this one is busy. Yeah, pop over to 31772 again. Okay, well, here's my.
I'll see you on the talk group tomorrow. I got a Skywarn meeting with the National Weather Service, so I'm almost right at the same time as the net. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, have a good night, AM7FS. You were live streaming. Dang it. Oh well. Yep, there I am too. On your radio. That's fine. Anyway, I gotta step away for a minute. I'll be right back though. I think I'll give me a hydraulic sandwich. And 7 BDR.
Okay, so you guys gotta tell me when all the live streaming is done so I can go back to being me. Yep, 6ABH.
All being archived too.
Yeah, I was gonna say about you guys before I shut this off.
Before I shut this off, say something inspired ears everywhere.
You go first, RJ.
Right, I'm gonna go back to me. So I started my research on places to visit in Colorado, and well, I found every brothel in Greenlee, Colorado. That was a first start. No, just kidding. Man, there's a lot of places. This is gonna be kind of fun. Cam 6AVH.
Trip, RJ.
Coming up to see you guys. We started putting it together today and made a list and got to figure out a path and a time and whittle out some places. And I found a really nice webpage that had a list to ghost towns and mining towns. And I'm going to review that over again. Some of them are way high up in the mountains, 10,000 feet. And I think if I did that, I want to go with somebody else. I think I'm pretty good with altitude. The most recent I've ever been is at about 8,000 feet, and I've been good. But it's been a while since I've been to the 10 or 12,000 foot elevation. So I'm thinking I probably should do that with somebody else instead of by myself. So I'll figure this out. Camp 6ABH.
Roaring feet. Off the desk.
Exactly sure what the highest elevation road that you can travel, but I do know if you go into the Rocky Mountain National Park via Estes Park and drive it up all the way, you come to a point, the highest point that you can drive, or that the road actually gets. And I think it was right at 12,000 feet, and there was snow there in August. There's glaciers there. And getting out of the car from the parking lot, walking over to the visitor center, was a little trippy. I never had altitude affect me like that before, but that was a couple of years ago, so that might not be a bad plan.
Got all the way to 14,000 feet on a paved road in the summer. You can drive to the top of Mount Evans. That's 14. The road's paved all the way up there. And of course, you can drive to the top of Pikes Peak. And then there are some four-wheel drive roads
top of some other 14ers, but basically drive as high as you want here, as high as the state has to offer. But yeah, Trail Ridge goes up to 12,000 in the park.
It was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. It was well worth the trip. Actually, we came out by Granby Lake and then went down 97. We made like the loop. It was pretty cool.
And I mean, there's other stuff that I'm going to do. I found a couple of train. I love train rides. And, so I'll find some other things. Cam 6ABH.
Oh yeah, RJ, I love the new New England Silverton's a good one. Although the one I like more is the Cumbres and Toltec one out of Chalma, New Mexico, or Antonito, Colorado. It's right down there at the border. There's a lot to do, and I've got a couple of ghost towns up my sleeve. So if you maybe you may have come across them in your research, but if you need any tips on that particular kind of stuff you want to photograph, let me know. There's a couple areas that I'm pretty familiar with up around Leadville, down out of Buena Vista, Salida area as well, and then over the other side in South Park. There's tons of stuff, man.
Webpage I went to and I'm going to review over again had some sample pictures from each one. And on my last trip, I ran into a few that were just foundations, which is nice to see, but nothing to photograph. I need to see a building that's half fallen down or partially restored or whatever. So, yeah, I'm going to look into that. And it's probably going to be sometime June, July, or August in the middle of summer. So hopefully the weather won't be that much of an issue. And I'm going to probably rent a Jeep and drive it from here up there. So we'll see what happens.
You're here and it's fresh in your mind. What should we do differently for the next step? Anything that we could improve upon?
DM6ABH. I don't know. I mean, the idea of the check-ins. I think there's some people that just love to check in, to be noted, and don't really want to contribute or have anything to contribute, sort of hit and run. So instead of putting it at the beginning or the end, maybe put it in the middle. I don't know. So people can get a flavor of what the talk group is about in the beginning. And then if they just want to check in, they could do that in the middle. And then after that, you could do your for sale thing. I don't know. Just an idea. DM6ABH.
Move it around somewhere. I like the way we did it, but I know that some people are probably anxious just to check in, so I could see an argument for moving it earlier, just the check-in portion. And it does go pretty quick if I just have the key up and not voice announce. And everybody seemed to play along with that pretty well, so I think that's something to consider. Anything else? Any other ideas? Jimmy, Aaron, whoever's out there, you got anything we could do differently next week? I was excited. We had 26 people. I thought that was pretty good.
He's getting worked up. I think he wants to go out.
But nobody was offended by beer on the desk.
Offended by beer on the desk. Oh, I see a big black dog on Aaron's video right now, and his tail's moving frantically. Anyway, if they were offended by a beer on the desk bed, this is probably not the progress for them.
Point. I haven't been watching. I gotta watch Aaron's. I forgot he was live right now. Wait, back up. How do I get this free ice cream? Maybe these are AJ.
I ain't taking that.
That's a good idea, bud.
We do it. We have to invent teleportation or something. I don't know. Forever you check in at some later point in time, if you come to a Hampton Fest, you get free ice cream. Hey, works for me. Deputy Sheriff Agent.
How about on the web page, and however you want to format it, you have a comment area under talking about the HD net, and maybe a comment box of what topic would you like to talk about, and maybe the most popular, or give 3 or 4 suggestions, like with a radio box. I don't know if you can do that. I don't know how sophisticated you are at writing. I know when I was playing around with web pages, doing radio boxes didn't seem to be that difficult. And it'll tally up to maybe 4 different topics. I don't know. So in other words, what happens is prior to the net, you have some kind of feedback from people as to what they're interested in, and what topics they would like to talk about or have questions about. I don't know, just an idea. Camp 6ABH.
Yeah, I was thinking about like a little survey form, Google Forms or something. And we could put it on the webpage. By the way, I've been messing around with the new webpage that Rick and Matt and Jason have been creating. It's going to be really sweet in WordPress. I've been messing and editing a little bit. I think there's a space in there where we need to add about the net. We could certainly embed a form in there. And then the responses would just get written to a Google spreadsheet, and the form would just be like, what suggestions do you have to talk about? What do you want to learn about? That kind of stuff. And we could leave that just kind of open all the time, and then we could refer people to the website. They can submit their ideas there. So I do think that's a really cool idea. So when I get to hacking more on the website, I think I'll see about dropping a form in there, and then I can use that to come up with questions. So did Aaron just like go to bed and leave his live stream on or something?
I don't know if there's room or if that's even the place to do it on the existing website, or maybe Matt could create a coloradohd.com or something, and all week you can take suggestions for the
net, and it'd also be a way for people to check in there too if they actually didn't want to key up a radio. And possibly we could provide a live feed to the net via that too, like through Broadcastify or something like that.
We could do all that in this new website, the new WordPress website that those guys created. I've got to edit that now. I'm looking at it right now. The sample pages, there's that talk groups page. There's a placeholder for nets, but I think we could build another page for the net and have the idea submission form and maybe even a check-in form. That's a good idea too. And we could just make that live on Friday, because you can schedule, I think, to make things pop up in this format. And they could check in there and maybe even embed the live feed or whatever too. But I do think, yeah, definitely leveraging this new WordPress website, which is going to be pretty sweet. It already looks good. Just now it's window dressing and building out content, I think. I think maybe Aaron went to bed, just left his live feed running.
I was thinking that too. I wonder, see that other hotspot there in the background? I can't really see what it says, but I wonder if that's listening to this displaying the same information. I can't really see it.
I think it might be. I keyed up. Let me see again when I come up on his screen. Yeah, I think it's his dual spot, and I'm on slot 2. Looks like my call's on slot 2. And then, yeah, that's what I think it is.
Okay. Dude, that's funny. Rex made a comment on your chat room, on your live feed. Something to the fact he's listening with his dual spot with the Anytown because he's afraid he's going to wear out the PTP trying to key that up.